Hi, and welcome to Something for the Weekend, brought to you as always by Together 2012. We're a community interest company based in the main host borough of Newham, creating a Paralympic cultural legacy in East London and beyond. I'm Ju Gosling, also known as Ju90. I'm the artistic director of Together 2012. And with me, where she's been locked down for rather a long time now, is our chair, the artist and campaigner, Julie Newman. We're dressed up to go out to stay in as usual, but before we tell you more about that and give you some audio description, we're going to go over to the other end of our long-wheeled virtual sofa for some introductions and audio description from the West Midlands.
I am in our West Midlands office. Behind me, we've got some red velvet curtains. And today, I'll give you a description of myself. Today, my long blonde hair is down and over one shoulder. I've got pale skin, blue eyes. And today, I'm wearing a rather fetching pretty dress with it's got a black background with some big flowers on it in sort of a cerise pink with a big pink sash, and I've got a little bolero cardigan over my shoulders with a frill around it and a big flower on one side. And today I've got jewellery on as well. I've got some pearl and silver jangly jewellery and a necklace that you can just about see. And today I'm dressed up to go out to stay in to go to the Together Opera, which is this evening. I'll tell you a little bit more about that later. Robin.
Well, yes. So who am I? I'm still Robin. I'm still business director at Together 2012. I nearly forgot who I was for a second then. It's been a funny week. What do I look like today? So I look like I'm sat in front of some lovely velvet curtains. I have slightly messy, rather whitey grey hair. I've got dark rimmed glasses in front of blue eyes. I do have relatively pale skin at the moment, waiting for the summer already. I am wearing a black round necked t-shirt over a grey one because it's a bit nippy. But more importantly, it's a solid black t-shirt. But on the front is a picture of a crystal rose. Not the first time I've worn this for those historians of the show, but I'm wearing this as I am dressed out to go out to stay in to go to a virtual tour of the Red Cone Glass Museum. Again, if we get a chance later, I'll talk about that. But glassworks in the Midlands has a huge historical value.
Sounds absolutely fascinating. So in the second half of the show, we've got our usual week ahead feature where we look at all sorts of things that you can do from home, mostly free, online and offline. Julie.
Yes.
Who are you?
I'm Julie Newman. I'm the chair of Together 2012. I'm dressed up to go out to stay in to watch all of the wonderful resources on the Together website, which are the shows that have been shown that I haven't been able to watch for various reasons, and just generally to catch up. I'm going to have a cup of tea, probably a cat, and I'm going to sit on the sofa and just spend the weekend lounging around and enjoying the shows.
I could say something there about who's going to be doing everything else, but I kind of know the answer to that one already. So, yes, we're going to tell you more about our Together 2021 Disability Month Festival in a moment. Everything's getting very confused by the cat. So, a little bit of audio description for the cat first. This is Jinx, known for some peculiar reason as Dolly. Jinx is a small, elderly tabby cat who loves it when she can hear voices coming from the other end of the screen. All of our cats have got very big on Zoom. They really love it. We don't see much of them necessarily unless they can hear other people, but they've kind of adopted it as a 21st century version of visitors. So did you want to tell people anything else?
Yes, I'm wearing today a dark brown dressing gown with a hood, which I'm just going to push back a little bit so that I can show my shoulder length silver and gold hair. I'm wearing dark rimmed glasses and I've got a white t-shirt underneath my dressing gown. And as Ju said, I'm wearing a tabby on my lap.
I have to say that's a white company dressing gown. It is amazing what you can get in charity shops, as I'm sure many people already know. So finally, I'm Ju Gosling, also known as G90, and like Tracy, I'm dressed up to go out to stay in for Thursday night's digital opera by Hera. We'll tell you a little bit more about that in a minute, but I'll tell you what I'm wearing. I've got a purple trilby over a self-styled hennaed corona crop. I've got pale olive skin with green eyes behind black plastic glasses. I've got black plastic wrist braces, silver-coloured jewellery, and I'm wearing a black t-shirt that says Disabled People Against the Cuts on it. So that's a DPAC campaign t-shirt. I've also got a purple jacket, but I've already taken it off. So it's just behind me. I may put it on later if it gets a bit cooler over the next hour. And yes, I'm dressed up in this particular operatic fashion because it's an opera based on the experience of somebody who tried and originally failed to claim personal independence payment. It's called We Ask These Questions of Everyone, which is a phrase that has a certain chill for anybody who's ever tried to claim benefits or services in the UK. It was created entirely by artists who were shielding at home. So it's a pre-recorded opera with audio description, captions, visuals, and then we're going to have a live discussion with the cast afterwards. The chorus comes from other people who'd written in to tell the company about their own experiences. So it's very much been produced by disabled people for everyone, as with everything with our festival. So yeah, that's coming up at 7:00. Our show nights, and I'll say this again later, are Tuesdays and Thursdays from 7 to 8. On a Wednesday and a Friday, you can find the recording in the early evening of the event that took place the day before. So there's basically either a recording or a live show Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then we release family activities on the Saturday. So yeah, we're really looking forward to that, aren't we, Tracy? And we'll tell you more about the festival later. But we're going to move on and read some poems from Together 2012's Pop-Up Poetry Club. Julie, do you want to tell us more about the club?
The club is run on the telephone. We call you, so you register initially with us, register your interest with us and your telephone number, and we will phone you on a conference call. So we start phoning at about 10:15. The whole thing gets together by the time we get everybody on phone for 10:30. The first half hour until 11:00 is spent reading a poem on the theme, or a poem that you've written, or something that struck you. It doesn't necessarily have to be on the theme. The important thing is really that everybody has a chance to read a poem, or indeed, as some people do, the lyrics of a song. We then have a break at 11:00, and then I phone everybody, or somebody phones you back at about 11:20. And we get back together for 11:30, at which point we have an opportunity to read out the poems on the theme of the week. And this week it was autumn colours. Next week it's a painting that I like, as opposed to a play what I wrote. But it can be actually one of your own paintings. So it's a poem about a painting, which I think will be quite interesting.
Thank you, Julie. Yes, it does sound interesting. We put the theme for each week's session up on our highlights and links page. You can find the Something for the Weekend highlights and links page on the Together 2012 pull down menu on our website, www.together2012.org.uk, or you can just follow the link from the main Together 2012 TV webpage. So who would like to start? Robin?
Oh, Golly. Yes. I have. My first one is going to be from Glory. So this is entitled Autumn Colours. It was autumn, but it snowed. I was skiing down the hills. Then the rainbow started coming. It was coming brighter, and it was very bright, with lots of colours. I was skiing down, trying to be careful, so I was taking my time to be careful. I stopped so I could have a cup of tea and biscuits, and then I skied down fast.
I think that's wonderful and a great kind of looking forward, perhaps, to the Winter Paralympics. This is from Crystal Peasy, and she's taken the autumn colour theme, but she's called it winter time. I like to talk about the winter time, going through the leaves that have come down from the trees, the leaves lying brown and yellow, the leaves lying everywhere, and the trees become naked. And the leaves are blown by the wind everywhere. What I like about the winter time is when it's snowing. White, white snow everywhere covering the leaves. Is that a break in the snow? Is that more coming down? The kids like playing in the snow, but sometimes the snow is dangerous. You might fall down and break your legs. Thank you for that, Crystal. There's a certain satisfaction, I think, as a wheelchair user in writing that last line, but there you go. Tracy, I think you've got one from Dawn Barber.
I have, and it's entitled Autumn Smiles. All the colours of the trees and the leaves make me smile. It's like a piece of artwork on paper. It's like walking to a dream of magical things. The colours give us hope, and we walk in nature and calm our minds, the colours and better health.
Oh, that was lovely. Thank you, Dawn. And Julie, you've got your own poem to read, I believe.
I do. It's unsurprisingly called Autumn Colours. After the brash brightness of summer suns, the autumn leaves fall on a quieter world, busy still, getting ready for the barren times ahead with shorter days and longer nights. The rustle of small creatures among the leaves gives them life even as they lie in dead heaps piled into corners. Their days as green foliage ended with the coming of the paler sun and dark, cold days. The leaves change on the trees. A different palette is used to paint the landscape. Shrubs and plants join the symphony of oranges and reds, turning to yellows and browns. Now come the winds, gusting and raging in a minute, then suddenly still. The fury becomes a gentle breeze, the leaves, having no purpose and remaining tight upon the branches, release their hold. As the greenery becomes a memory of a season now changing, so the leaves fall and join the detritus, swept along and piling high, opportunistically, wherever catches the wind. The yellows, reds, and browns cloak the earth, a mantle against the bitter days to come. In time, the banks will settle, no longer caught in the whirlwinds rushing past. These sanctuaries provide cover for creatures seeking warm, dark corners in which to lay in quiet slumber. The busy days of autumn soon pass into the somnolent stillness of winter frosts.
Thank you, Julie. And finally, I think Robin has a piece of writing by Blake Jarrett Gibbons.
I do, and this is entitled Autumn Health. Look at those lovely shades of yellow, dark reds, and not forgetting the various shades of brown on the leaves. The evergreen tree looks darker than ever, yet still stands big and bold, the grass slightly more quagmire-like to walk on. A few hours less daylight, more time in the dark, less daylight and more darkness. This is that time of year. For many people, things seem so much more stressful. Less sunlight, the cold, the vibes can change. All can be mentally draining. Their emotions can become like drains, blocked, building up, and then flush, all the emotions released, just like all the leaves and the rainwater and mud flushes out the drains. All this is draining, mentally and physically. So please, don't be scared to say, I know there are hard and dark times, but please, let me give you some light. Even just a 5-minute chat can help light someone's day, full of beautiful colour. The autumn colours can be noticeable. They're not all now just for shows in black and white. Mental health matters. Autumn is now Mother Nature having her time to rest up. She's been filling our year full of colour and gives a new adventure to every day. Don't be scared to speak out. Go and enjoy nature's colours throughout the year. Autumn is amazing. If you go into the cafe, still a bit chilly out, I'll have a brew, please. No sugar, though. I'm sweet enough as it is. Let's sit down and talk. Our health, any time of year. But this is now, autumn health. Let's put colour in our lives and others, just like Mother Nature does for us, even in the autumn.
Thank you, Robin, for reading that so beautifully. And thank you, Blake. I think it's a very, very timely piece. And particularly this year when I think it's actually very easy to just sort of hunker down and hibernate. And that's not really very good for any of us. So we have we have the Still Lives from last Friday's Art Club. The Together 2012 Art Club meets on Zoom twice a week from 11 to 12. It's usually led by our club's programme leader, Alison Marchant, but for the last couple of weeks, we've had the pleasure of our new youth development worker, Kate Rollison, and Kate has set up another still life for us this week. I'm going to pop it on the screen, and then, as always, I'm going to get Robin to audio describe it without having seen it first.
Okay, so we have three toadstools as the back of the picture, all on single white legs, but then there's an orange one, a yellow one, and a red one, each with white dots on them. So if you imagine it almost like ladybirds on stalks. Then there is a china hand with flowers painted on it, almost like tattoos, cupping the flowers. And then there is a blue bottle to the left lying on its side with a silver lid. And just to the right, stood in front of the red toadstool, is a very dark brown, almost black bottle, again with a silver lid.
Thank you for that, Robin. So I'm going to show you some of the ones from the art club now. It's going to be a little bit interesting because I have just failed to lay my hands on the piece of paper that tells me the credits for each artist. So some of this might have a little bit of a guess. I believe, but I'm not certain, that this may be by Lee Brooker. Whoever's done it, it's a beautiful picture in pencil and I think pastel, and it's a really faithful representation of the original image. This is lovely. This is by Sheryl Mcclellan, and Sheryl's taken just one of the toadstools or mushrooms, I think. Do you call them sort of sewing mushrooms? So she's taken one of the mushrooms and she's really transformed it into quite a dreamlike drawing with reds, and so she's done it as a red with dark spots and a white stalk and sort of blue. What would you say, Julie? Is that pencil pastel?
I think it's pastel.
I think it's pastel. So that's lovely. So this is a painting, and I think it's by Crystal Peasy. What the artist has done is taken some of the shapes and the colours and played around with them in quite an abstract but very, very interesting way. Now, this, I believe, but I'm not certain, is Sophia's. And anyway, it's a beautiful painting. And again, what's happened is they've taken some of the shapes and made them more abstract. So you have the mushroom tops at the top of the page in red and then yellow and red again. and then the hand shape has been kind of flattened out, and so have the other two shapes. I think it's always so interesting when we look at the still lives to see how everybody interprets it differently, which is kind of the point. So this is by Lee Brooker. Unfortunately, it's a very poor image on the Zoom, which is unusual for Lee, but I can tell that Lee's coloured it in and it's quite a faithful representation in reds, greens, blues and purples. So he's taken that black spool of thread and actually changed the colour, which is what a couple of other people have done. And again, I think it's partly limited to colours, but I think in Lee's case, it's a very deliberate decision. And finally, and thank you, Margaret, yours was actually up there as well. This is from Margaret Spence. I think it's coloured pencil or coloured crayon. It's a very faithful representation. And what I particularly like about Margaret's is she's put in a very busy background with lots of it. It's very, very simply done, but it's got lots of energy and it really helps you focus on the subjects. So that was the Together Art Club last Friday. If you'd like to join in tomorrow, just drop us a line, info@together2012.org.uk. We share the image on Zoom and audio describe it as well, partly to help focus, but also for anybody who's visually impaired or simply has a small device or not a great screen. We can also send you that by text, email, or WhatsApp if that's a better way for you to get the image. But on a Tuesday, we also have a Make a Natter session for the art club. That pretty much does what it says on the tin. You can bring a craft project of your own, make it in with everybody else, have a bit of a natter about it, get some feedback, share some tips. Or you can join in with an activity using recycled materials you'll already have at home that's led by whoever is leading the club. In this case, it was Kate Rollison again. Now, Kate is creating family activities for people to use in their own times, and we're putting up a fresh family activity on the program, on the Together 2012 website program for the History Month Festival. You will find a special section for family activities. And last week's activity was making a scrapbook using a cereal packet and paper. So I just want to show you one of the ones that was done this week, and this is by Sophia. And what Sophia's done is she's used wrapping paper to cover the cover of the scrapbook, which I believe is what comes from the cereal packet. And then she's cut out bits of that wrapping paper to sort of illustrate the inside as well. That's great, Sophia. If you'd like to have a look at that, like I say, you can follow the family activity links from the Together 2021 Disability History Month Festival programme. And finally, from this week's Together 2012 Art Club, this is Crystal Pease's Pom Pom in Progress. And I just wanted to show you that because often now people think you need those plastic pom-pom makers. You absolutely don't. All you need is a couple of circles of cardboard, which you can get from just drawing around something like a saucer and then drawing around something like a coffee jar in the middle of it, depending on what size pom-pom you want to make. Now, Crystal's Pom Pom Installation, whoever heard of one of those before, is part of our Together 2021 open exhibition. So that's part of the festival. It's open now. There's 2 other exhibitions as well. Very easy to look at, whether you're using a mobile phone, a tablet, or even a computer. You can just scroll through the images. We've got 50 artists with a Newham connection who've contributed to this year's open exhibition. And next, it's time for our regular feature, Join In with Tracy. So what are you going to tell us about this week, Tracy?
Well, I thought as we are approaching that festive season, that I would look at making some really simple baubles for the Christmas tree, or just for the table, for the fireplace, wherever you want to put them. Really, they don't have to go on a tree.
Yeah, and they're great for all sorts of other festivals as well, aren't they? Or indeed, actually, birthdays. But that possibly is just me, because I've got all sorts of things hanging up around the house that are supposed to be festive decorations, but tend to be a bit more year round. So I'm going to pop the first image into the stream now.
Okay, so this is my collection of things you need. my collection's probably a bit advanced. I mean, quite obviously, you could just simply do this with a toilet roll, a used toilet roll or kitchen roll, and a pair of scissors, and a glue stick. But I got paint in the house and a bit of glitter, so I added that to the things you could use. So this is my kitchen roll tube, and what I've done is just flattened it a little bit, and then I've drawn lines that are about 1 centimetre wide, all the way along, just to get the right, the same sort of size. Now I am cutting it out. I mean, you don't need to use a ruler if you're good at judging, and you can just cut it out, by eye. But I wanted to try and keep it the same. In fact, I didn't use a ruler. I ended up using a coaster, which worked really well because the weight of it flattened the tube for me, and it gave me something to push down on. So I found it much more useful than a ruler. Here are my little pieces that I've used to create the bauble. Here I am painting it. I thought, well, I've got a bit of paint in the house, so I'll just paint it a nice blue colour. But that could be done with felt tips. You could just design a pattern on it, or you could simply leave it to the sort of beigey colour of the tube. Here I am sticking a bit of glitter to the edges. So I've got my paper plate with a puddle of glue and a puddle of glitter, and simply dip the shape into the glue, just the edges, and then into the glitter to pick up just a little bit of sparkle on the edge. That's a close up because you all know that I do like my sparkle. Right, so this one, I'm showing you how to put it together. This is the one that I haven't painted, because otherwise I've had blue fingertips. So you get your two bits of tube, and as you can see, they're like a bit of an oval shape, and then you push them together. So I think the next photo shows you that. That's it. So you're putting them together to make like in a T shape, actually, like a cross shape. And I've used a little bit of liquid glue, but you could use Pritt stick, then to put the neck shape on. And each time you put the shape on, you just change the angle a little bit so that you're going round. And here we are. This is my undecorated one, and then my decorated one. In fact, in that picture, the undecorated one looks a little bit better. And I've actually got my completed. This is my undecorated one, and I've just used a piece of magazine to make the loop. And then the decorated one, and I've used a bit of ribbon, so they can be as fancy as you want, or as plain as you want. But I think the plain's quite festive as well, quite catching.
It is, although I think there's something about the ribbon that really finishes it off. I'm going to ask you a question. Please don't.
No,
But
it's fine.
if I painted the whole of the thing before I cut it, would that not be easier?
It would be very easy, yes. I'm not that clever, Ju. I didn't think of that.
No, I think it's not that, Tracy, at all. It's that classic thing. Once you've done it once, you go, ah. And I've got the advantage of watching you do it the first time instead of trying it for myself. But no, I think there are disadvantages in that, because you've got to be able to judge the cutting very, very evenly. You couldn't then draw the lines on. So I think there's advantages and disadvantages, but I just wanted to check that I wasn't missing something. I think it's a delightful idea.
Thank you.
Because with Crystal's pom-poms, you can string a load of them together at different lengths. You could hang them on a coat hanger and make them mobile.
Not if you've got cats.
Yes, well, I mean, it depends where you hang them, of course.
I mean, I would say on that point is actually that these ones are an advantage, because if you've got the traditional purchased ones, if the cat attacks them, you don't see them on the floor. When you tread on them, they shatter. So actually, these ones only squish, and then you can reshape them.
Yes, that's That's true, and I can recommend another activity to go with that, which was Kate Rollison's first activity we showcased, I think, 2 weeks ago, and that's making paper lanterns, and you could string the paper lanterns and these baubles kind of alternately on a line, really for any festive occasion. So thank you very much for that, Tracy. We're halfway through the show, so it's time for our traditional Clockwork Paralympics, where we race clockwork toys to see whose teddy bear gets to wear a medal this week. Why do we do that? Well, of course, it started in March 2020 when Robin, our Paralympian, was just desperate for some sport and absolutely nothing was on. We quickly realised that getting a Paralympian really excited about clockwork toys was quite funny for everybody else. And of course, we're all quite competitive, but perhaps not as competitive in East London as the West Midlands, who've got a house full of medals, and we've just got one gold plastic one. And the reason that our teddy bears compete to wear a medal is we are still supporting the International Virtual Bear Hunt, where children can look out for teddy bears on live streams. I can see you're desperate to introduce your teddy, Robin.
Well, I mean, hate to rub it in or anything, but this is Checo returning after not winning 2 weeks ago. He won last week and has decided he would like to defend the honour of the track, as it were. Although not knowing yet where we're racing this week, this could be a surprise.
Oh, come on to that. So this is Anna, the ballet bear, returning for another week to have a go and see if she can get that medal off Checo. Checo?
Checo,
Checo. Why is he called Checo?
because it's a Mexican bear and Checo is a Formula One driver
Ah,
who races for Red Bull, but this is Red Bear.
Julie could have told me that. But I get the joke now anyway. Thank you for explaining it to me. Well, Anna had a very, very good time at this Monday's Sign Dance Collective workshop, which took the place of our usual monthly Dance on Screen workshop. If you're interested in joining any of our clubs, then do drop us a line, info@together2012.org.uk. The Dance on Screen Club meets on the fourth Monday of every month, but of course not next month because it's Christmas, so it returns in January. It was such a good workshop that we edited out the participants and we've put the rest of the workshop online. So that's another thing that Julie's going to be enjoying over the weekend, watching the recordings of the festival events that have already happened. So the way it works with the Clockwork Paralympics is you choose the toy on the left or the right to support. And we've just got a message from Emily who says, I'm going right this week. What about you, Robin and Tracy?
Yeah, I think we'll go right this week as well.
You'll go right. Okie dokie. And actually, we're still racing Clockwork Snowmen in the bathroom, or should I say, the Aquatic Centre, because we're looking forward to the Beijing Paralympics.
Which are, I believe, 99 days from today.
Yes, I keep losing track of the counts, and then we see them up again. But there's no swimming in the Winter Olympics. But never mind. There's probably no snowmen either, and I believe all the snow is artificial. But we won't even go there. So, without further ado, here are the Clockwork Snowmen, and Robin will give us a little bit of commentary. Just give me a minute to pop it up.
So here we are in our ice palace with our freshly finished track, glistening with ice over a cork bottom. We are ready to race. Final adjustments, and here we go. Off to a thrilling start here. So the Birmingham competitor on the right of the screen is going okay. The London competitor on the left seems to have lost its way a little bit, but of course could come back at a later stage in these marathon races, which for snowmen are an incredibly long distance because I've never seen a snowman move very far. And I have to say that Birmingham have managed to absolutely trounce London. I was going to be gentle, but I'm not.
What can I say? They are only snowmen.
So this week, I kind of I'm recycling in the best spirit of recycling. I am recycling medals as well because they are often made of materials that probably aren't things you can just throw away. So this is an old swimming. No, it's not. It's a new ice race medal. Just that the people in it appear to be diving off blocks, but that's ready for really, really super fast slidey starts. Congratulations, Checo.
Congratulations, Checo. I don't know how you managed to win a game of chance at least 3 times out of 4, but I guess that's what makes you a multi-gold medalist.
It's also why I don't do the lottery.
Yes, well, moving swiftly on from that, I had a message to say that your microphone seems to be a tiny bit quiet, but I think that's a little bit old, so I'm hoping that everything's been fine since then. So we're going to have a look at the week ahead, both our own events and other people's events. Would you like to start, Robin?
I will. And I'll go to but oh my goodness me, I will try and start the virtual tour. I said at the beginning about the Glass Museum. In the Midlands there is a really fascinating history of the making of glassware, and particularly lead crystal glass, which is made in these very tall kind of dome shapes, or cones rather. Sorry, I should say cones. And the link that I've sent through to Ju, which will go up on the website, is to a virtual tour of what is called the Red Glass Cone Museum. Yeah, I'll try not to say that later. Um, and it's in fact in around what's called kind of the Black Country part of the West Midlands, which is Dudley, Stourbridge, Wolverhampton, Tipton, places that lots of people probably won't have heard of. But where there is a huge canal network, it kind of all links together, and the virtual tour kind of gives not just some images of the glasswork and the factories, but the kind of a little bit of a picture around how the whole uh, the population really was built up around the glasswork. So it's actually a fascinating little tour.
It sounds absolutely fascinating. I mean, one of Tracy's previous recommendations was this program about glass blowing, which I've almost finished watching, but I can't help thinking I'd be much more interested in one set in Birmingham, and particularly with lead crystal. I had no idea that these things were like that. But I think, as so often, I think I'll prefer the virtual tour anyway. Judy, what would you recommend first?
Well, as we're looking at social history and locations, the Science Museum is hosting an online panel discussion about the history of London and scientific discovery, of which there's masses actually. It's called Stories from Science City. It takes place on Wednesday, the 1st is the first one, between 7 and 8 p.m. There's an optional pricing arrangement, so it can be free or up to £10 when you book the tickets online.
Thank you. Tracy, what's your first recommendation?
To follow on from from Julie, it's a BBC TV program. Excuse me. And it's called Universe. Sorry. And it's hosted by Brian Cox.
Right. Yeah. So I'll just take over there. So it's a relatively new program. It's available now on iPlayer as a full series, and it's so I think it's a 5-program series, and it's kind of this wonderfully computer generated history of the universe, really. But it's just absolutely fantastic. The images, the music, it's kind of it's art. I mean, we've talked a lot in the past about for cinematography and all that stuff, and game making. In fact, all the people that behind the scenes creating it. This is a wonderful display of kind of what you can do as a digital artist, as well as the the storytelling around the universe.
Okay, so I'm going to start by telling you what's coming up at the Together 2012 Together 2021 Disability History Month Festival, organised by Together 2012 CIC. I think I found 2021 particularly complicated because, of course, it's just the same numbers swapped around. But Tuesday and Thursday, as I said earlier, are our show days. And next Tuesday, we have Sahira Khan, all the way from East London, in a brand new show about women's safety on the streets and in the community. It's called No Words, No Safety. It particularly looks at the experiences of deaf and disabled women, and Sahira has written it in response to, well, you can imagine all of the concerns over the summer about women's safety and the lack of support from the police and from other authorities. That's in British Sign Language with an English voiceover and English captions. And as with everything we do, it involves a live discussion at the end with the artist that the audience can join in via live chat. All of the booking links are on our website, on the festival program page, but you can also see all of our shows live streamed to YouTube at the top of the main festival program page. So if you don't feel it's accessible to book a ticket via Eventbrite, just click on the page at 7 o'clock and the show will be there. Tracy, what's your next recommendation?
Right, I'm much better now, so sorry about that bit of coughing going on. Well, again, my next one I think follows on really well from what you were just talking about. It's a free Eventbrite organised event, and it's called Overcoming Fear of Public Speaking. It's like a class to build up your confidence, build techniques. It'll be very small. It's a safe environment, so I think it'd be a very good thing to go to. And I think I might like to go to it, not for the public speaking part, because I don't do a lot of public speaking, but just to have that confidence as a woman to be able to speak up for myself, in everyday situations in the shop when people make out they can't see you and they serve the person stood behind you. I think it might just give us a bit of, a bit of confidence and a bit of reassurance that we can actually say, "Excuse me, I'm here. That guy behind me is not. I'm next." So I'm hoping that I'll get that from it. I'll go and it says masterclass, but I think if I can pick up some techniques, that'd be really good. So I think that ties in really nicely with what you were just saying, Jo. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Julie, what's your next one?
Art Factory is sharing a free online art group on Tuesdays between 2 and 3 p.m. weekly until the end of the year. And each week, a different artist is discussed, looking at their work and their styles of painting. You book via a telephone contact, but it's actually listed in the list. So there's details available in the highlights and links online after the show.
So sorry, what do you mean by the list, Julie?
It's like
Oh, so you've got so yes, so there's I think it's a bit like Eventbrite. So you have these what are effectively online catalogues of events, and they've got booking links embedded within the listings so that you can book through those systems. And as Julie said, and we mentioned earlier, we've got a highlights and links page for the show. It's up by 4 o'clock on Thursdays, and you can see all of the poems, the photos, the videos, and crucially, links to everything we recommend. My other recommendation for the festival is next Thursday from 7 to 8 when the Together 2012 Pop-Up Poetry Cafe returns. This is an open mic event with, as with everything we have, live captions in English, British Sign Language interpretation, and it's an open mic. If you'd like to perform, drop us a line, info@together2012.org.uk. It's the same booking system as usual, which is actually via Eventbrite. Eventbrite don't organise events. They just, it's just a platform for marketing and ticket booking. So you can book via Eventbrite, or you can just click on the top of the programme page at 7 o'clock on Thursday, and you should see the stream via YouTube there. Or, of course, you can see any of our YouTube streams streams on your smart TV. Just go to the YouTube app and search for Together 2012 CIC. Robin, what's your next recommendation?
My next recommendation is based on the fact that we all think we can be funny, at least occasionally. And on Sunday evening at 10 o'clock, there is a free Improv Jam. For those of you who don't really know what improv is, certainly in this scenario, it is kind of live comedy where some of you, there used to be a program called Whose Line Is It Anyway? And basically it's where an idea is suggested and you have to act to that, or as a game, and you have to try and say funny things. And the improv stands for improvise, which just means kind of make up on the spot. And it's a free comedy improv jam. It's 2 hours long. It says that the first half an hour is they've got someone who will do a warm up, so they probably got a more confident, established comedian person to kind of get you in the mood. And then there's 90 minutes of playing.
Your mic's cutting out a bit, Robin. I don't know if you need to maybe just adjust it slightly.
I'll come in a bit just in case it's anything to do with drifting away a bit there. So hopefully, if you didn't get that, I was saying it's 2 hours long. It's coming from America, but it is free. But that's why it's on at 10 o'clock on Sunday night. But I think what better to do than after a long weekend of enjoying everybody else's art on the Together Festival, have a go at being funny.
Yes, and I think most comedy clubs don't start till about 10 o'clock, so I suppose there's no harm in that. I'm going to recommend something now that isn't part of the festival. It's on the first Friday of every month from 8 to 10 o'clock, and it's called Poetry Lit! And it's free. It's online. It's a monthly online series where they invite 2 international poets to read, and then there's an open mic as well. So that's another one where you get further details and book through Eventbrite. Tracy, do you have anything else for us?
Just a quick reminder that we are both going to the to the opera this evening, 7 till 8:30. Hope to see everyone there.
Yes, I mean it's written and composed by Toria Banks and Amble Skews, who are both going to be present tonight, along with the main singer. It's really something very, very special. It's only been heard once before at a sound festival earlier in the year. It got 5-star reviews and it got reviewed everywhere. We've just got it, it will be available on video for the next 2 weeks only as part of the recording from tonight. But if you can make it to tonight, that's your one and only chance to be able to actually ask some questions and make some points and have those responded to and have them recorded. I'm going to flag up really importantly for disabled people next Wednesday, the 1st of December, is World AIDS Day. So look out, there's going to be lots and lots going on as usual to raise awareness, to support all of the disabled people living with HIV, and of course to promote the ways that it can be prevented, including PrEP therapies. So Theatre in the Mill have commissioned 3 beautifully shot short films, HIV and Me, and unsurprisingly, they're showing them next week on World AIDS Day. So that's just one of the things that are happening for World AIDS Day. And yeah, look out, there's going to be lots and lots online, and it's really aimed at everybody. So that's HIV and Me, a series of 3 short films by Theatre in the Mill. Julie, do you have anything else you're bursting to tell us?
No, Strictly Come Dancing carries on, which is very exciting and very controversial, actually. And Doctor Who has the penultimate episode this weekend, and there's lots of films. If you find that you've gone through all of our wonderful resources, I don't know how you could do that easily anyway, but once that's done, I mean, there's loads of films on ITV2 and and Channel 5.
Thank you, Julie. And as we always say, BBC iPlayer, which is the free one of the streamers, has just got so much on it and new series coming up all the time. I love the idea of Strictly being controversial. What they really mean is people don't agree with who's been voted out. It's not controversial at all in a kind of more meaningful sense. I've got one more, which is Black British artists and political activism, which, if you're not coming to the Poetry Cafe next Thursday, you might enjoy from 6:30 to 8 p.m. And its artist Keith Piper is joining Elizabeth Robles in conversation to discuss the ways in which the politics of Black nationalism were woven through the artistic discourses of the early 1980s. We don't hear half enough. Well, we don't hear half enough about all sorts of art movements in the UK, particularly the disability arts movement. But Black British art has never had a big profile. So this is quite a rare opportunity to find out more. And I think it's so interesting because they also call it the British Black Panther Party. It's having an understanding of what was happening in the art world in the UK in relation as well to what was happening in the US. So that's Black British artists and political activism on Thursday the 2nd from 6:30 to 8. And of course, the festival continues beyond next week, and you can continue to book for it. We have our very own electronic cellist, Joanne Cox, defining her journey with us on Tuesday, the 7th of December. That's an interactive project. Joe's going to be performing live on the cello, telling you more about the project, and then you'll be able to go online as well and interact with the app for yourselves. That should work, fingers crossed, whatever device you're using, and it's absolutely beautiful. And then finally, on Thursday, the 9th of December, we have our traditional end of festival party. Now, who's presenting that, Robin Surgener?
That would be me, just currently trying to adorn my guitar without making too many bangs.
That's all right. You've got a few minutes. Yeah. So you're going to be introducing a whole selection, as many as we can pack into an hour anyway, of the musicians that Robin's been introducing us to on the show since Something for the Weekend started in April. I'm really looking forward to it. You can see, of course, many of these performers. If you just scroll through the highlights and links pages, many of their videos are also up and you can see them in previous shows. Do you want to just tell us the names of some of the ones we're going to see, Robin, on the 9th of December?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, very much hoping that they are all going to still be available. We have El Shant, who we met last week in the show. We have Ang Harrod, who were a couple of weeks before that. Then we're going to kind of turn it back a bit from there, right back to quite near the beginning. We had a musician called Remy Fox Novak, who's a specialist in electronic music. Then we have Dennis Queen, who lots of you will know as an activist, but also a fabulous singer-songwriter. And then, fingers crossed, we also have John Cottam, who is our resident Liverpudlian musician, who we as yet to know what format he will be delivering his songs in. And if you're unlucky, you might get to have to hear me as well again.
Well, I think we would very much appreciate that. And we're going to have a little bit of a preview of that now, aren't we, Robin? So tell us a little bit about the song you're about to play.
Okay, so this is a song called History, and I thought it was pretty appropriate, you know, for History Month. Um, and really, what the song is about is it's about recognizing that you know, disabled people have always been part of society, but if you to read the books from the, you know, the history books, the films and stuff, we're either not there or kind of, you know, misrepresented massively, you know, as either only poor people or only mean people or, you know, only victims or whatever it is. And, you know, just hopefully this is about addressing the imbalance and just kind of saying, look, we are here. Let's be proud of that fact.
Brilliant. Well, over to you, Robin, and that's a goodbye from us in East London, and I think that's goodbye from
And
Tracy as
goodbye
well.
from me. I'm here.
She's lurking. It's fine. So this is called History. Think about my history. Hear about the way things used to be. Read about times gone past. There's something real missing in all the wars and kissing. Gonna change the past at last. Look into the past and you will find people there who've been left behind. People in the past who've done nothing wrong, but been left out in the cold like they don't belong. We've got to seize the moments and make them amount to a history that matters, others brought to account. We're there, we're now, we've always been here. Let's write the books of history so that we appear. Ask yourself, what part in time have we had? What is it that we did that got us locked away? Nothing we did was that bad, but the parting of the water should have turned the tide. 'Cause Moses was disabled, he was on our side. Throw out the myths, distort the lies. Shout out proud, we're here and here with pride. Throw out the myths, distort the lies. Shout out loud, we're here and here with pride. Looking to the past and you will find people there who've been left behind. People in the past who've done nothing wrong, but been left out in the cold like they don't belong. We've got to seize the moments and make them amount to a history that matters, others brought to account. We're there, we're now, we've always been here. Gotta write the books of history so that we appear. Look into the past and you will find people there who've been left behind. People in the past who've done nothing wrong, but been left out in the cold like they don't belong. We've got to seize the moments and make them amount to a history that matters, others brought to account. We're there, we're now, we've always been here. Let's write the books of history so that we appear. Thank you. Have a great week.